Hey, Zoomers, welcome back to World Zoom. So pleased you could join me today. Hey, stick with me for this one. This was such a surprise to me, just breaking over the weekend in the Philippines, talking about Vitaly, the Russian vlogger that got arrested. He initially was detained by the Bureau of Immigration at Bicatan, the detention center, which is primarily just used, for foreigners, mostly overstays. Sometimes you get a more serious offense in there, but a lot of times it's minor type of things. Pre-deportation holds a lot of the Chinese for the gambling arrests that have been made there. But President Bongbong Marcos saw the video, I don't know if it was on Thursday or Friday of last week, of Vitaly in the immigration. You may have seen that video. He was smirking, sticking out his tongue, waving to people out in the audience, making like disgusted faces, rolling his eyes to the head, actually. One of the commissioners of the Bureau of Immigration was actually in the video. Well, apparently, President Marcos saw that video and it peeved him off to the extent that on Saturday he had Vitaly picked up and transferred out of Bicatan, which, is not a great place to start with. I mean, it's had numerous human rights violations in that jail alone. But again, it was a jail, not necessarily a prison, holding pre-trial defendants, deportation defendants, and also some folks that have small nonviolent offenses. But not that long ago, the warden was dismissed from Bicatan for human rights violations coming from complaints from the British and U.S. Embassy. They actually did manage to have him removed. And I've already talked about the conditions there. So now imagine that he has now been shipped to the new Biliban prison, which is a Filipino prison. And I mean, that place is as bad as you can get, I would imagine, in all of the Philippines. So there's 24,000 prisoners in Biliban. It houses 3 compounds. One's maximum security if you have a sentence of 20 years or more. There's another section that's called medium security. That's for 20 years or less, down to 5. There's also a minimum security, which is 5 years or less. There are some circumstances where you could have more than and be in a medium, or you could even have 2 or 3 years and be in the maximum, depending on what type of crime that you committed on the outside. That it's relatively new, hence the name, the new Bilibad prison, but it's been around long enough now. And you can imagine with 24,000 folks, I've got some photos of it if you want to take a look at it. So this hasn't hit anywhere that I've seen yet that he was swooped up and moved. But now he is in, just a whole host of trouble. And I'm thinking that there may be, I talked before about money being able to get him out, but he's peeved off high enough folks in the government, including the Department of Justice, the president himself, and the immigration heads, that he's actually been moved to a different facility. Now, this facility is known, as are, I would imagine, most prisons, as you can imagine, but it's known for housing, the worst of the Filipinas. So there are thousands of folks that are left from the previous drug war of the previous president, those that weren't executed or killed outright for being drug dealers, manufacturers, or even users, which were killed by the thousands in the Philippines. This is where a lot of those guys are. They don't especially like foreigners to start with, and they really won't like it when they find out that, there was some abuse of elderly Filipino grandmother. So, for a pre-trial, not even sentenced foreigner to go to Bilibid. I've never heard of it. I really have never heard of it. Now, the serviceman, the Marine Lance Corporal that brought home a girl from the bar and found out that during the course of the entertainment that it was actually a man, and he murdered her, got 8 years in prison. I'm starting to worry that, I mean, that was just straight out murder. And he got life, but just recently was released after an 8-year period. Now, those are the kind of foreigners that you may see in Bilibid, but you would never see a pretrial detention, an unconvicted person go to prison. So this is sort of a historic change, but it just goes to show you, if you continue to stick your finger in the eye of the Philippine government, they can respond. There's not some of the same protections that you may see in the Philippines that you're going to see in other countries. Now, Bilibid is known for sort of the haves and the have-nots. So it's been known for big screen TVs, for parties, for families coming in, for jacuzzis, for resort style living, for hotel beds and fine sheets on the elite gang members and some of the elite folks of Philippine society that are there. And then it goes all the way down in the hierarchy to, you can imagine. So you're assigned different tasks depending on how you come in. But a foreigner, first and foremost, is certainly going to have to pay money for protection to one of the gangs that's running that prison. At the same time, some of his crimes, it wouldn't automatically get him killed like crimes against children. It would most probably end in his death in that prison. So he is at risk, certainly there, way, way more than being with a bunch of foreigners. Most of the people in Bicatan are folks that look like you and I, your 50s, 60s, 70-year-olds that have just been caught up and stayed over or done some minor type of offenses or getting ready to fight their way through a small judicial issue or be deported. So he's managed to go from Bicatan, which isn't fun, to the worst prison in the Philippines because he, pissed off the government. That's simply just no joke. There's no protective custody there. So he's going to be thrown in, has been thrown in as of 2 days ago, with all the wolves of that prison. So hopefully he could have met with one of the gang leaders and negotiated. You have to buy your bed space, right? I mean, you have to pay for your bed, your place to be able to sleep. Depending on how much you can pay is dependent on how you eat or if you eat, and how you get your water, and certainly your bed. So if you have an area where you want to sleep that's not on the ground or even outside of the prison on the dirt, then you have to negotiate the fee that you're going to pay to the gang members that run the prison. Hopefully his crimes, and they're going to know, I mean, it's full of cell phones and everything else. They're going to know everything that went on, outside to get him in there. But he did disparage the Filipino culture, which to a lot of Filipinos, especially those that don't especially like foreigners anyway, can be grounds to have him be in some trouble. So certainly he's going to get roughed up, maybe even stabbed up. I hope not. But I mean, he was certainly being a jerk, but I don't know that he deserves that, right? I certainly don't think he deserves a 10-year sentence or 15-year sentence, deportation and maybe, restriction to return to the country. But, if you can murder someone, and get 8 years, I don't think he should be getting any more than that for unjust vexation and burglary and theft and those type of things. So probably wouldn't even be near in this kind of trouble had he not just continued to poke the eye and not learned his lesson. But I'm guessing after a couple days in there where you have to queue up for water, there's only a certain number of spigots that are available in the prison. Again, there's 24,000 people in this jail. Don't know what section, haven't heard yet where he went. Since he's pretrial, you sure hope he went to minimum security. And I hope he didn't go to medium, and God forbid he went to the maximum security. which would be really tough sledding for him. So anyway, would love to know your thoughts on this move. It really just goes to show you, you just have to be careful. And if you do get yourself in trouble, you got to humble up and not do those things. So anyway, from World Zoom, I'll see you guys in a couple days. You take care. Bye-bye.